So I just want to hit a couple of different news stories about some different lines being crossed by different companies. The first one is a pretty benign sort of line crossing. It's that Microsoft is diversifying beyond OpenAI, despite the fact that they have like very high profile partnerships with OpenAI and have been using them exclusively in Copilot. On Wednesday, Microsoft said it will integrate artificial intelligence models from Anthropic into its Copilot assistant, signaling the software giant's push to reduce dependence on its high-profile partnership with ChatGPT maker OpenAI. And I feel like this is both interesting and not, right? So starting Wednesday, users who opt in to try Claude can switch between OpenAI and Anthropic models in Copilot Researcher. The thing that is interesting is that Microsoft is a big backer of OpenAI, but this would seem to indicate that they're seeking to reduce their reliance on them. And they're also apparently developing their own AI models. I saw some whisperings about that I hadn't dug into. But they've also been integrating models from China's DeepSeek into their Azure cloud platform, which is interesting.
That's interesting. I'm wondering how that's going to go over with some of the government contracts. Of course, they have their own like FedRAMP government segregated space that they probably will not be putting DeepSeek in.
But Azure Cloud is like, that's almost every company is using Azure Cloud for various things.
Yeah. I mean, the normal companies here in the US that are not having to be on a FedRAMP segregated system will probably be able to use DeepSeek if they want to, or will have DeepSeek integrated in some of the products that are there.
So what I'm curious about is, because Microsoft has all those high-profile links with OpenAI, what does this signal, if anything? Are they going to discontinue that? Are they really leaning into their own AI models? I haven't found any details about their own AI models or more about that DeepSeek thing, just this mention in this article.
Yeah, I think what this comes down to is that, like, what we're seeing over and over and over again is that these models, like, one will excel at an area that another one doesn't. And that there's still so much of an arms race in this. People are just like leapfrogging each other constantly. And so the only way to stay up is to diversify. It's like you build your application, you have an API hook into a system in the most generic way possible. And then like if model X does better than model Y, then you're hooked up to that. And then you test and you make sure that everything is stable. And then if another model starts to surpass that, then you're only an API hook away. And so you move to that other model. You make sure that that's stable and predictable as well. And if so, then you can safely move over that. But you don't want to get stuck with something that's going to be deprecated and that doesn't feel like it's advancing at the speed of the market. And so I think it's a pure diversity play. Also, Anthropic has traditionally been kicking OpenAI's butt in the coding use cases. And so I think it's a capitulation to that fact.
That makes a lot of sense. I haven't really played with... So I've used Copilot in VS Code, and I'm not sure. I haven't used the desktop Copilot thing. It just pops up. There's some hotkey. I haven't figured out what the heck it is.
Right.
Something makes it show up on my screen, and I close it instinctually. I have not really used it on my desktop that way. But I have used Copilot through VS Code, and the Claude models, you've always been able to switch whatever models in that. So I think that's different. I think they're talking about specifically the Windows Copilot Assistant, which have you dug into at all? Have you made use of the local Copilot? You're a Mac guy, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a Mac guy. I have a Windows machine at home that I don't really use unless I'm doing like deepfake stuff. Maybe I should go ahead and play around with it some and get some experience.
I'm gonna give the desktop Copilot a shot, because it's only semi-recently that it seems to be fully broadly rolled out. Like, I didn't have the Copilot icon until the last Windows update. This wasn't popping up until the last one. So I'll have to poke around with that. But hey, listener, if you've been playing with Copilot, you should send us an email, hello@eighthlayermedia.com. In the meantime, for the rest of the segment, I'm going to pivot over and talk about xAI and how they're just suing the pants off everyone for just about anything they feel like, it seems. So this is, again, from Reuters. Musk's xAI accuses rival OpenAI of stealing trade secrets. Elon Musk's artificial intelligence startup xAI has sued OpenAI in California federal court for allegedly stealing its trade secrets to gain an unfair advantage in the race to develop AI tech. The lawsuit, filed Wednesday, said that OpenAI was engaged in a, quote, deeply troubling pattern, end quote, of hiring away former xAI employees to gain access to trade secrets related to its AI chatbot, Grok. And I want to read you the beginning text of the complaint.
Okay.
I have the actual complaint PDF here, and we'll link that too. This is the beginning of the introduction. I'm just going to read the first 2 paragraphs. The desire to win the artificial intelligence race has driven OpenAI to cross the line of fair play. OpenAI violated California and federal law by inducing former xAI employees, including Xushen Li, Jimmy Freicher, and a senior finance executive, to steal and share xAI's trade secrets. By hook or by crook, OpenAI clearly will do anything when threatened by a better innovator, including plundering and misappropriating the technical advancements, source code, and business plans of xAI. So already a little bit catty.
Yeah.
What began with OpenAI's... what were you going to say, Perry?
I was just going to say more and more lawsuits are going this route, right? About trying to make the lawsuit more of a press release than an actual legal document.
You're right, because I've not read a ton of legal documents in my short time on this earth, but the ones that I have read recently compared to the ones I've read in the past are definitely more sensational in their writing style.
Yeah. I think they're doing the lawsuit for the press release or for the press coverage.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And that's evident here in the second paragraph, and then we'll jump back to the article. What began with OpenAI's suspicious hiring of Xushen Li, an early xAI engineer who admitted to stealing the company's entire code base, has now revealed a broader and deeply troubling pattern of trade secret misappropriation, unfair competition, and intentional interference with economic relationships by OpenAI. OpenAI's conduct in response to being out-innovated by xAI, whose Grok model overtook OpenAI's ChatGPT models and performance metrics, reflects not an isolated lapse, but a strategic campaign to undermine xAI and gain unlawful advantage. Blah, 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 blah. So what are they actually alleging? I'm going to go back to the Reuters article because they just put it a lot straighter. Spokespeople for the companies did not immediately respond with requests to comment, but xAI has said that it has discovered this alleged campaign to undermine their company after their former engineer Xushen Li leaked confidential information to OpenAI. Basically, what happened is they poached these people, and one of them took the source code at one point. I don't know if it was Xushen, who's also, apologies if I'm getting your name wrong.
Yeah.
But one of them brought the source code to OpenAI.
I think it was Xushen. I don't know if it was by request. So this is something that happens a lot, like in the tech world, is somebody leaves a company and then they grab everything that they worked on because they feel like it's going, they feel some sense of ownership over it, I think. And I don't want to justify something that's illegal because you should not do this. But you work on something and you're like, oh, I'm going to take these slides because I worked on those. I'm going to take this thing because that's, you're trying to retrieve your memories whenever they're going to be valuable. And you don't necessarily always think through the legal and the intellectual property ramifications of the thing that you're doing. This guy, if you're taking source code, you're probably doing that, but you're also probably trying to say, I want to remember how I built this function. And also,
you feel like I did all this work, like I made this thing. It's mine. It's not theirs.
Now, I don't want to justify theft of intellectual property. You should know not to do that when you leave a company, but it is something that a lot of engineers have traditionally done, despite their own better judgment. But they don't usually do it. It's not usually at the behest of the company that they're going to work for. It's something that usually gets found out after the fact and tends to implicate the company that they went to work for, even though they never asked for it, they didn't want it, they may have never even used it. It's just this guy took the stuff, and then by inference you go, oh, well, it must be that the new company they went for is using all that now.
Right, exactly. And that seems to be what they're accusing them of. And yeah, it was Lee. You're right. I quickly just double checked. It was him who did that. He has not really responded to comments about it, which is a smart thing to do. Right. OpenAI hasn't responded. And also, xAI has separately sued Apple in federal court for allegedly conspiring with OpenAI to suppress rival platforms. Apple hasn't responded to that lawsuit. And Musk is also suing OpenAI over its conversion to a for-profit company. OpenAI has countersued Musk for harassment. So, come on.
Well, if you you remember, it was about a year ago, Elon was suing OpenAI as well. And I think he's just like in this, suit frenzy. And Sam Altman in a blog post said, you can't sue your way to AGI.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You're
right. I forgot
which was a
about
great comeback. I think he's just, it's meant, when you have as much money as somebody like Elon Musk or a company like xAI, you can sue somebody just to cause inconvenience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's more what he's doing it for press, and he's doing it to slow somebody down and kind of make them feel more erratic and mentally unstable over long periods of time.
Yeah.
Now, one thing you're not seeing huge lawsuits in the media, unless I missed it. You're not seeing OpenAI going after Meta for poaching their employees. You're just seeing them, they're like, let the marketplace take care of it. These guys are going to figure out how bad it is to work at Meta, and they're going to come back. And ultimately they are. I
actually had gotten those two stories conflated in my head when I clicked on this. I was like, oh yeah, they were poaching a bunch of people. But no, that was OpenAI from Meta, or Meta from OpenAI. OpenAI hasn't been suing. And it's so obvious with the self-aggrandizing language in the lawsuit and in all of this stuff that it's very much for attention.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I think that Elon, he definitely has a lot of beef with Sam. Mm-hmm. And he just wants to make life miserable as much as possible. So it's like if OpenAI is advancing in one area or doing something cool, he's like, let me figure out something to throw at that and slow him down a little bit, make him frustrated, or take the news cycle off of him.
Yeah, I think that's very much what it is. But boy, is it a lot of lawsuits. Yeah, just a quick catch up on that sort of mess. And we'll roll right into our next segment where we will be wrapping up the show talking about something different. I actually don't remember. What's the last segment about, Perry?
An AI safety tool that was deployed at a school that's causing a little bit of backlash.
Stick around and we'll find out what that is.